Hey everyone, my name is Kyle, and this is Grade 10 Chemistry Lesson 1, Ions and Compounds. So we're going to go over three main things today, and that's going to be ions and polyatomic ions, cations and anions, ionic compounds, and covalent compounds. So you may be watching this for review or just to see what's ahead for next year, and the main thing you're going to know is common polyatomic ions and the periodic table. So by the end of this, you should know what this little structure kind of means here, what's behind these little text blocks there, and what also this little structure kind of looks like here. So as I was saying before, this is a periodic table. It's made up of groups and periods. Hopefully you already knew that by grade 9, but if not, I'd recommend looking into that. But this is going to be your best friend throughout your entire chemistry journey. So yeah. So our first lesson is ions and polyatomic ions. So an ion is any element with a charge, and this is either by gaining or losing electrons. And our charge, because the number of protons, does not equal the number of electrons. So as you can see down here, we have lithium, and beside it, you can also see we have fluorine. Now fluorine is a charge of +1 because it's giving up its electron, and that means that the number of protons does not equal the number of electrons. Now we'll see what that's called later, but yeah. And with fluorine, you can see that it has a charge of -1 because it's receiving one, and I'll see and just see what that means. So as you can see on here, so normally it has 3 protons, and there's going to be an imbalance, and like when it's charged, it's going to give up its electron. It's going to have 3 protons and 2 electrons instead. Now this name is called lithium fluoride if you didn't know already, but you can kind of see that they bond for the sole reason of the plus and the negative, and that's going to be very important. Now next we have the polyatomic ion, and this polyatomic ion is called hydroxide, and as you can see from the title screen, it says that a covalent compound is a sharing of 2 or more atoms that will have an overall charge. Now hydroxide here, this is between hydrogen and oxygen, and they're sharing their electrons, and they have an overall charge of -1. So there's no 1, but that's negative. So if you're wondering how to get this charge, I'm sorry to say, but even after researching a lot, there's no like one set way for to be able to find the charge of every polyatomic ion. So I can recommend asking your teacher about that, but that's okay. We're not gonna talk about it this time. So as I was saying before, this is that little picture from earlier, and it talks about a cation and an anion. Now, a cation is any positively charged ion. As you can see back here, lithium would be called a cation because it's positively charged. And this means that there's more protons than electrons. So if we go back, this would have 3 protons and 2 electrons. So that would make it a cation. Now, if anion, it's over here, anion is a negatively charged ion with less protons than electrons. And that's chlorine over here. So this would have more protons than electrons. So this is kind of a little misleading. You're not losing protons, but you're gaining electrons, so it makes the protons look like it's less. So as you might know, protons normally equal electrons, but yeah. So over here we have sodium. Sodium is a cation, and chlorine, it's like chloride when it's charged, but this is an anion, and they're positive and negative, opposites attract. They come together like a magnet, and that's what their bond is for. So let's get more in depth in the next slide, but we also have hydroxide here, and we also have a specific name for polyatomic ions. This will be called a polyatomic ion. So this polyatomic ion has an overall charge of -1, and you can see negative, that's an anion. So yeah, also if you didn't know already, but poly means many, so just throw that out there. Polyatomic helps you remember, always has more than one atom. Now let's go into ionic compounds and covalent compounds. So an ionic compound is a metal that has given electrons to a non-metal, or sometimes a polyatomic ion. You might need to remember that. And this positively charged ion would be called cation, as we talked about, and a negatively charged ion, and then they'd come together and form their attraction, opposite attract. That's what this little structure down here is. Seeing the positive and the negative, they're attracting, it sort of happens when you combine a lot of them together. That's the sort of structure it kind of makes. And over here you can see this picture is kind of misleading because it doesn't actually share its electrons. Sodium just sort of like chlorine just steals it and it makes their entire shell full, and also makes sodium's shell full. And no, they're both happy. And since one's positively charged, one's negatively charged, they come together. Boom. Everyone's happy. Now for covalent compounds, it's different. So we have this is between two nonmetals. So ionic compound, metal and nonmetal, or sometimes polyatomic, or and then covalent is two or more nonmetals. So as we're going to see over here, normally, like if we're going to this situation, if B were to just steal an electron from A, A would be unhappy. B would just be overjoyed. He got his electron to fill his shell, but A is just kind of like he's not only benefiting from this. So as a way for them to both benefit, they come together and they share the electrons. So the A has 8 electrons and B also has 8 electrons. So now both their shells are full. We're both happy. And now that's going to be it for today. And the next video will be on ionic and covalent compounds. So stay tuned for that. And that's it.